Welcome back to another episode of BHAW Radio. I'm your host, Brian Rowan. We're at episode 74. We got Tyler McLeese on, longtime co-host. Welcome back to the show, Coach Ward. Just finished, a sip of wine. How's your night going?
Everything's good. It's kind of a chill, normal evening at the house. You can hear a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old in the background having some ninja battles and talking Star Wars, and we're here talking wrestling. So, like a pretty typical evening at the Ward house.
Yeah, I think when I started recording and started the episode, you took the drink. You're like, whoa, I didn't think you're actually going to start right now. Sorry about that.
No, this is the candid camera. This is the inside look. This is what it's always like here.
So, we're about a week, after the Lehigh match. We're recording this on, Tuesday night. The dust has settled a little bit. If things calm down, it was pretty rowdy there last Sunday. I had a heck of a time.
It was the atmosphere was awesome. Credit to our administration for, putting on a good event and cool atmosphere, and then credit our team for wrestling really hard, given the fans that showed up something to cheer about. Lehigh brought some good fan numbers like they always do, and our guys competed really hard and gave our people something to cheer about. So, was very proud of their performance, their attitude, their effort, their energy in the competition, and it paid off. So yeah, that was a solid day for us.
Yeah, definitely a fun match to watch on the stream too. A lot of back and forth matches, but without further ado, let's kind of jump into weight by weight. Let's start with Dalton Harkins, another really tight match. Tough second period where the guy was kind of stall riding and driving him out of bounds every time he stood up. But, credit to him, he found a way to escape with 3 seconds left, which put him in a position to win the match. Kind of talk through that third period. He needed a shot to win.
Well, we knew that, that's what that guy does, and he's good at it. Up and down the lineup, Lehigh's as good as any team in the country at just kind of chewing up the clock on top. They'll hold on to you and they'll find a way to get you to the edge, and they'll return you, and their coaches will scream that the bottom man's running out of bounds. And like they know how to work the system, and they do a really good job at it. And they do it in a really good way where they hardly ever get called. So, we knew the strategy there at 165 was going to, their guys really good at that. Dalton did a good job giving himself an opportunity to put himself in position to win. And I was looking for a little bit more out of the first and third periods, with him. I thought, and talking to him after his match, he was too. He's not satisfied with the way he competed there in the third period. And he knows that he's got to give himself a few more opportunities to be able to win matches. And, at some point, keeping matches close isn't going to be good enough anymore. And when he starts to believe that and really do it, then, man, it's like, he'll start really jumping levels there. It was a good effort, no doubt. He will never stop fighting, but he just, you got to recognize it's going to take a little bit more. Like, I need to win this match, and I need to put myself in a position to win this match. And we just didn't put ourselves in positions enough times to be able to win the match.
You said it there, but next match, let's go to Pazuke. Obviously these guys have wrestled a few times now. It looked like Logan had really kind of game planned to wrestle Pazuke. It looked like he was waiting for the double and just ready to sprawl and then hang on with underhooks and kind of pressure into him. Was that something that you guys had expected?
I think that their guy's really good. So I'm not surprised at all that he fought really hard and it was a competitive match. I got a lot of respect for their guy. I think he's a really, really solid opponent, and I think results have shown that. But yeah, I think, Ben is still figuring some things out this year, to be honest with you. And Ben, was hanging out a little bit too much with his right hand. He gave up a left, an underhook on his right side. I don't know how many times, but too many, 8-10 times. Need to clean that up, and we have. But their guy competed hard. Ben just, kept plowing away and competed a little bit harder and found ways to keep pressure on his opponent, and that pressure paid off. So, yeah, Ben did a good job. He's learning still, and he's still getting a lot better.
Yeah. I talked about the game plan because I think the guy took one shot the whole match, and it was the shot that he took Ben down with, and then it looked like he was just kind of hanging on for the rest of the match. I think Ben is at a level where he can wrestle so hard for so long. And it looked like the Lehigh kid, I mean, I'm not trying to diss him or anything, but it looked like he knew he couldn't wrestle that hard that long, and he needed to keep it close enough to take one shot and win. And I mean, that's an uneducated fan's opinion, but I wanted to pick your brain on it.
I mean, you're a pretty educated fan, McLeese, so let's not forget your background. That's probably a fair analysis. You know, I don't know. I don't put myself in their head. I think about our guy. I think that, you know, Ben doesn't cut weight. So, you know, stepping out there and competing is not an issue for him. And so as hard as he's wrestled, he knows he still has more that he can give. And as I've said before, like, he is still learning, you know, and you would think someone as good as he is, maybe that, like, it's just like right away they got it. No, he needs matches, and every match he wrestles, he continues to get better and figure some things out. So that's exciting for us, and probably not so as exciting for his opponents that Pazuka is still just getting better with every competition.
When you noticed that, you know, he was kind of like leaving his arm too high, was that something you noticed, like, watching the match, or, like, you know, after watching video, you know, after the match a few times, or how, you know, how does like that kind of come to be as far as, like, from a coaching perspective? You know, it's like, I didn't know, like, you know, do you notice these things on the spot, or it's like, oh, I've rewatched this match 2 or 3 times and I saw these, you know, bad habits?
I mean, I want to be a smart ass and say, I mean, I'm a professional coach, Brian. So yeah, I mean, I noticed it right away, but you got to stop hanging your hand right there. The guy, obviously, you know, by the second or third time he does it, it's so much easier to see things from the corner than it is to see them from, you know, out there on the mat. So, you know, just because we can see something in the corner doesn't mean that we can communicate that to him, or that he feels it or sees it the same way that we do sitting on the edge of the mat. But no, we noticed it, like, during the match, and I'm like, hey, you can't hang your hand. But you know how it is, crowd is loud, there's a lot going on. Like, how much instruction do you really take in over the course of a bout? You know, it's more about just, like, make adjustments that you feel and find a way to win matches. And Ben did that, so good job for him.
Yeah, moving on. I think 184 was a good representation of kind of the theme throughout the duel was close matches where you got to dig deep and find a way to win. And I mean, what a performance by Sam. Because you know, when you watch him wrestle, he always comes out aggressive, and you can tell he loves to scrap and just get after it. But he looked very controlled, and I think that paid off in the third period, where he just, you know, he looked phenomenal.
I think with Sam, if you're in there in the room with him every day, like, you know how hard he works, and, like, you know how much it means to him. What you maybe, you know, in competition, sometimes you might look at him in third period and you'll be like, he looks a little fatigued, looks a little tired. Does he not work hard? Like, what is it? Like, it's all emotional and mental with him. When he learns, and what he's learning how to do is control his emotions and his breathing and control his mentality over the course of a bout, then his conditioning is incredible. I mean, the kid works hard. He's a hard-headed, blue-collar, like, construction worker type guy, swinging a chainsaw around on Twitter. You guys have seen some. No, he's a hard-working warrior type guy. And when he learns to control his emotions over the course of a bout, you know, like, he has really good third periods. So, and that's what he did in that match, you know, and that's progress for him, because he hasn't done that consistently. And to see him do it, that was, you know, good for him. Very happy for him to have the feeling of being able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Because when you combine those kind of intangibles that you talked about with his technical ability, because you see it in the match too, his wrestling IQ, his understanding of positions, his ability to scramble and continue to wrestle, it's all there. And I think that it had to be a good turning point for him, because he looked still aggressive, but more controlled and energetic through the entire match. And it was awesome. It paid off.
Yeah, that's fair. It was, and I'll tell you this, his wrestling IQ is nowhere as close to his competitive spirit. And when his wrestling IQ keeps coming up to match how competitive he is, then he'll really be dangerous, you know. So he just started wrestling in, like, 9th or 10th grade. So, like, I mean, he's still learning a lot.
Yeah, and luckily he's a junior, so we get him back. We get him back for another year.
Yeah, we get to have Sam for another year.
Yeah. All right, let's talk JT. Did you expect the match to be that close? Because I mean, it was a gritty performance, not taking anything away from JT. I mean, anything can happen on the wrestling mat, and he found a way to win. But I mean, looking at both their records, maybe I thought it might have been a bigger win for JT, but credit to that kid who wrestled a great match as well.
I think their kid's good. We recruited him, tried to recruit him. You know, my one conversation with him, I think, was, he wanted to be a special forces, operator. And then he stopped answering his phone. So, I'm like, I knew the kid because I'd watched him and enough to call him and want him, want to consider West Point. So I'd watched him since high school. So I know the kid's really good. And I mean, at that point of the dual meet, no, I'm not surprised. 165 scoreless first period, 74 scoreless, 84 scoreless. So 97 was the fourth scoreless first period in a row. So at that point in the dual meet, you're not surprised. You just hope that you're putting pressure on your opponents. The first period, wasn't that much pressure. Second period, JT, I mean, as gritty and tough of a ride out as you can ask for.
Sure.
That was a lot of heart, a lot of toughness, and really gritty ride out in the second period for JT.
Yeah, he battled off a takedown on the edge of the mat at the end of the first period. Which
man, he did, didn't he?
That was so tough, and I mean, he showed some flexibility too that you hadn't seen before. He showed some mobility.
Well, we do this drill in the wrestling room, and we have worked it a lot that week, and we've been doing it a lot since. Is like, I just call it keep the foot away. I say let's play a game. We're gonna keep the foot away. Give your partner your leg, and the only rule is I don't care if you go to your back, I don't care if you're laying on your back, I don't care what happens, just don't let him grab both legs. Whatever you have to do, keep the other foot away. And that looked like JT was playing keep the foot away there on the mat. I mean, it was just he was sliding his foot back and forth, doing splits, and just refusing to get taken down. So that was, he did a great job of playing keep the foot away.
Yeah, I mean, he was in that position for like at least 30 seconds. Yeah, so
yeah. And when you're in the corner there and you're watching, it feels like a minute. You're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're like, how long are they gonna go? He did a good job. That's right. He fought that off.
How much do you guys work on like flexibility? In getting those positions? I feel like that's like a thing that I never really worked on in college, or we didn't really focus, but it doesn't take a lot of energy. Like, you don't have to have like, you're almost relaxing and when you're doing that stuff, but it can be so effective,
and it takes no talent to work on your flexibility, and it's a great wrestling move. So those are my thoughts on being flexible. So, hopefully our work also shows that, and flexible hips, create strong knees. So, I think being flexible is a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah. And, staying on JT before we move on, I know I'm being tough as a fan, talking about the match being close, but credit to him for winning the match. So,
tough ride out, and then sealed it with a solid takedown there in the third period. Good job for him. Yeah.
All right. So moving up to heavyweight, Brandon Phillips. I mean, wrestling a guy who's been around, who was probably in the same brackets as me back in college.
Right.
Top 8 in the country. And I mean, literally the same bracket, because I was a heavyweight, and just tough performance, to not give up any bonus points. I mean,
so, one of the, he hand fought hard that first period, and he did a good job. And Jordan Wood is really good. Like, I mean, I think he's very skilled, and he's very, very good. And what's, probably never got talked about enough was Brandon fighting off that bent leg Turk at the end of the match.
Yeah. That looked bad.
If he doesn't fight that off, Wood gets a major decision. And of course, we worked on, like, we know what he does on top. He's got a great bent leg Turk, and then he goes to that side headlock. A lot of people call an assassin. We work those things, like anybody would that's scouting their opponent. And he tried both of those things in the last 20 seconds, and Brandon fought him off, So what that means is that Brandon learned, like, he wasn't just one in one ear out the other in practice. When I'm saying, hey, that's a 100% chance, Brandon, he's going to try these two things when he gets on top. It's not a maybe. Like he is trying, like he's going to try to hit you with these. And then Brandon fought him off. So, I mean, that the match was out of hand at that point. Brandon was not going to win the match with 20 seconds left, down 6-0. But he could have given up a major decision if he doesn't fight that off. He fought that off for his team, and that deserves some recognition, and that's good on him for doing that.
Yeah, and something else that doesn't get talked about enough is at the heavyweight weight class, when one of the wrestlers gets on top of the other and gets a takedown, anything can happen, especially when you're giving up. I mean, Jordan Wood is, you said he's like 280 now, and how much does Brandon Phillips weigh?
250, 30.
Yeah, so you're giving up 30 to 40 pounds. So we're talking about him not giving up a turn at the end of the match to a guy who's an All-American and 40 pounds heavier than him too. So that just needs to be said, because that is not a fun position to be in.
Hey, so we were doing our senior day recognition before the dual meet, and we recognized all of our seniors that we went over our last episode. And our announcers, a very kind gesture, they also recognized Lehigh seniors there on the bench, and so they recognized who were their two seniors they had. I'm not sure who the other one was, and I'm sorry, but one of them was Jordan Wood. And I was like, Jesus, he's a senior again. Can this guy just like, can we get him out of here, please? Like, I mean, he's been, rock solid in their lineup for a long time. So I don't mean to turn this into the Jordan Wood show, but I'm not going to be sad that he's graduating finally.
Is Brian Meyer senior?
I think he's just sophomore again.
Really?
It's crazy. Kel McCormick wrestled him at West Orange High School. And that was a couple years ago, and now he's just a sophomore again. So, I mean, the COVID year effed everything up, man. It's like it really warps your sense of time. It's like, wait, this guy's a sophomore? Wait a second, we've wrestled him for 3 years now. It's his 4th year in school, and he's a sophomore.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah. All right, move on.
Yeah, 25. Let's talk a little bit about Ryan Chavin and his match.
I mean, Jarrett Lane is obviously injured or whatever, but their backup is like, I mean, he's not a step down. Yeah,
He beat.
Yeah, he's from Logan Everett's area, and Logan said he beat him in their wrestle off.
Okay. Well, in my eye, he's not a step down. I mean, that kid is really good, tough.
He wrestled Jack Lord really tough, like this past weekend too.
Did he? I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's tough. I mean, obviously, and a tough bout. And we were close to scoring, a couple points, and it didn't work out. But staying in there and fighting off a couple tough turns and staying in the battle and continuing to learn, which we're continuing to do there.
Yeah, I think that probably wraps that up. So 133, Dom Carone. Tough match against Malik Hines, who's a good opponent, and he got a takedown early. And against a guy who's that explosive, that match can get out of hand, definitely, if you give up a takedown early. But Dom wrestled tough the whole match. And I think in the third period, it was 3-0, and he got in on that low single, and they scrambled, and he almost got the takedown, and the ref called it potentially dangerous. And it looked like Malik Hines was just like, I'm gonna get out of here with a win. Because he had.
I thought, I think the potentially dangerous was the right call, but I think it was the right call 5 or 7 seconds before he called it.
Yeah.
And so nothing changed in the position, and then we get closer to scoring, and then he called it, so that was kind of a bummer. But I mean, it was probably the right call because I think they were kind of in a dangerous situation. But man, as soon as Dom Carone starts to believe that he's supposed to finish that shot, he starts to believe he's supposed to win that match. I mean, you can see glimpses of it every time.
Yeah, for sure.
That he's very capable. Tough schedule, there's no doubt. This is his first year in the starting lineup. Maybe he didn't expect himself to be in the starting lineup, but some things have happened. He's a starter. And, it's like, hey, we need him to step up and believe it. And we need him to believe it now because we see what he's capable of doing. And as soon as that clicks in his mind, he's just as dangerous as anybody else out there on the mat. But yeah, really good effort because I got a lot of respect for Malik Hines. He's very good. in all positions. And Dom stayed in there and battled, didn't like the result, liked the effort, and you can move forward from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then at this point, I got interrupted when I started talking about a big match at 41 when we did the Bucknell recap. So I'd just like to check in with Brian and make sure that Brian is good for us to proceed to one of the more exciting
it's funny you
matches.
say that because you're going to hop right into it. And I had a question.
Listen,
before
there's
we
so
got
many
into it.
things we haven't covered yet. We haven't talked about his workout today. We haven't talked about, I mean, and
We
now
covered that in the pre-show.
yeah, but I think there's at least like there's no fans that want to know that. There's really not. There's no fans that want to hear about the workout you crushed earlier. So yes, I think you're free to move on.
All right, good.
So, well, I guess before we get into 41, as you know, being there in the stands, getting, watching, thinking who's the guy, Thomas Deck and Corey Shire were both warming up. I was, for a little bit, I was like, okay, it looks like Thomas is going. And then Corey, it looks like Corey's going. When was that decision made? Or was it just kind of, were they both doing it as optics, for Lehigh to not know who was coming out?
Never optics. And I wish it wasn't this way because I've been there as a competitor and I know how it feels for them, but that was a legit game time decision. Like that decision was made probably at like 125 pounds or something like that. No earlier than that. And so here's the scenario at that point. We look at the scoreboard and we say, okay, we have to win 2 out of the next 3 for sure. So what went through my mind was, all right, what if it came down to 141, if that was the last match and we had to win it? Like, do I think Thomas Deck is better than their guy? I do. Yeah. But in our gym on senior day, who do I think is going to just refuse to not win that match? Like, who do I think is going to find a way, no matter what, to be able to win? And Corey, like, I could just, the focus in Corey's face and like credit him, like he looked ready. Not that Thomas didn't. Thomas looked ready, and I'd been preparing Thomas all week for this matchup. We were going over things, and but it was kind of a game time decision where I was like, all right, if it came down to 41 and somebody has to win it, who's it going to be? And like, all right, well, I've been with Corey Shire. This is my 5th year with him. And let me show him that I trust him. I said, hey, Corey, do you want this match? He said, hell yeah, I want the match. I said, all right, you got it. Go be tough. And slapped his hand, and he went out there, and he was tough.
Somebody should ask McGonigal if he wanted that headlock. He probably would have said no.
I mean, listen, it just takes a split second. When you're that good and you get your position, you should not hesitate. And that was what you want to see. Like, when where you're good, like when you talk to wrestlers, it's like, get to where you're good. And when you get there, go. Like, don't think about it. Don't hesitate. When you get to where you're good, go. Corey, he got in a position where he was good. He went, boom, split second, and he dropped the hammer and finished the match.
Did you know before the 141-pound match that Humphreys was not going to wrestle?
Yeah, he didn't weigh in.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't weigh in. So, hope he's okay. I mean, he's very, very good. But yeah, we knew that.
Yeah, he didn't wrestle in the Princeton match either.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
All right, so going to 49, Matt Williams, another just totally gritty match, winning 3-2. Let's talk.
I think he could have won. It's like that. The match didn't have to be that close. And their guy, if you look at their guy's results and his record, like, he's beaten some good wrestlers. He's very good, and Matt was just better. And I think the match didn't have to be 3-2. I think Matt could have scored some more. But what I was most impressed with Matt Williams was that his composure, and the way that he was able, during scrambles and tough situations in that match, like, keep your composure, don't be rattled. The moment's not too big for you. Stick to where you're good, and when you're there, execute. And Matt did. Like, he, like, just very proud of him. His past 2 dual meets to be able to step in and us have the ability to be very confident in him, as soon as he steps in. So that's a credit to his work. And that means all season long, when he's been behind Ogunsanya, he hasn't been, taking days off. He's been putting in a lot of work, and that's shown his results.
Yeah, I think Matt's match was one of them, I think 74, 84, 97, and then 49, all close battle matches that from a fan's perspective, just the way the wrestlers, I don't want to say the way the wrestlers wrestled, but the way that they looked and conducted themselves, it just looked like they weren't going to lose the match. Like, I would have been really surprised if we lost despite a close score. Just the way they attacked, how aggressive they were, their conditioning, all of that just looked, we're getting down to the last stretch of the season and we're seeing guys' best performances, which is obviously a great thing to see.
That's what you want to see this time of year, right? You want to see a little bit extra. You want to see a little bit different attitude out of your guys. You want to see a mentality that you didn't see in December. So yeah, we're taking steps in that direction. That's good to see. And then Marcus Hartman steps out there and another scoreless first period. There were 7 0-0 first periods in that dual meet. We won 5 of those matches. I don't like 0-0 first periods. What's going to happen. But for us to win 5 out of the 7 means that, hopefully we're making them work in that first period. Marcus got to a position he was good. Finally, it took him a little bit to get to the guy and put the clamps down on him and put an exclamation mark on the dual meet on senior day. So yeah, good job, Marcus Hartman. That's how you want to see a senior close it out. No question.
Yeah, absolutely. And so looking at where we're at in the year, the Navy dual and EIWAs, we're talking about guys peaking in their performance. What's the training weeks looking like now? Are you starting to hit that point in the season where you're kind of tapering off a little bit and prepping guys' bodies for competition, or what do those weeks look like?
Yeah, you do a little bit of a physical taper, and the volume of the work that you're doing, the intensity stays the same or even gets a little bit higher, to be honest with you. But, the length of workouts gets a little bit shorter. That's for sure. We've had a few more days off because we can, it's like, at this point, it's our job. Like you can't back off and just coast into the postseason. There's too much time left. But at the same time, it's just like, let's put a really sharp edge on these guys and trust that everything we've done up to this point has got us prepared. And now it's fine-tuning individuals, fine-tuning their conditioning, getting a hard third period sprint out of them, doing those things. So we're not wrestling anything longer than probably a 3-minute go at this point. I know that much, because our cardio is so good. Now it's all about like, what's your burst like, when your heartbeat is, when you're at 160 beats a minute, like, can you still have a burst? Because we can go at 150 for an hour now, so now it's going from like, let's go from a really high level of work to an all out sprint, and then back to a high level of work and then an all out sprint, and do that for 7 minutes. Because our base conditioning is so good. So yeah, sharpening up our sprint, and tightening up technique and just being mentally sharp and ready to go for big time matches.
Yeah, well, it sure looks like it's paying off on in the matches. But so transitioning to Army Navy week, maybe for some fans who are new to the program, new to listening to the show, kind of talk what Army Navy week is like, what your experience with the duel is and everything. Let's talk Army Navy a little bit.
I mean, first off, if there's any new listeners, welcome to the show. we got to be up to like 25 or 26 listeners at this point. I mean, this week is by far, to me, the most fun week in college wrestling, and that doesn't mean that like it's not intense. It's the opposite of that. But it's just, we're fortunate to be in a dual meet that people care about, because let's be honest, like, our team, we care about every dual meet we've had this year, but a casual fan, they don't care, about our dual meet at Pittsburgh. They see the result and they move on. The casual fan cares about this one. It's like everybody cares about this one. So, I mean, how many programs have the luxury, and the opportunity of being a dual meet that people really care about? not many. And we're one of them. So,
even outside,
what's that, B-Row?
Your casual Army football fan is like, wait, how the wrestling team do?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
It's just like me. Like I went to basketball games this weekend, like I don't go to a lot of basketball games, but I did this past weekend just because to support our team for the event. We're playing our rival and I want to be there to support our people. But like, so that's cool. And it's, we tell our team like, look, like you're going to remember this dual meet for the rest of your life. You're going to remember the result and you're going to remember your performance. And if you want to have great memories, prepare yourself to have the best performance you can so that you get your hand raised. I mean, getting your hand raised are the best memories that you have. And so what can you do to put yourself in position to get your hand raised and celebrate with your team? Embrace that. It's not a normal dual meet. It's not just another match. Never has been, never will be. And if you don't embrace that, then you're selling yourself short, because this dual meet matters. And when things matter, you fight for them. And that's what I'm looking forward, to see out of my team is let's see them fight for each other and fight for this program.
Man, get all fired up. So when's the team traveling down there? You guys going down Thursday?
Yeah, we go down Thursday. And so we'll work out there and get a good night's sleep on Thursday night, work out Friday, and then make weight. And we don't compete until 7:30 p.m. on Friday night.
How fired up are you for the social beforehand?
Social's going to be sick. So there's a social. Is that the Weston B-Row?
The Weston downtown, yeah.
Yeah, Weston, downtown Annapolis, a social, 4:30 p.m. That's 16:30 around here. And we're going to gather before the dual meet, talk some matches, some strategy, what to expect, and just get together as Army fans before the dual meet. That'll be a lot of fun. So if you guys can make it, check out where can people find the link to sign up for that pre-match social?
They can go in our bio. There's a link in our bio, and then it'll take you. You'll see the social link to register there. If you go to the West Point Wrestling Club page as well,
okay,
Instagram page, it's on there. It'll be in our story pretty much every day. From every day. So as long as you're just following the Instagram or the Facebook story, you'll see it in there.
So, I mean, credit B-Row and Tommy Hendricks and Todd Messett with the West Point Wrestling Club for one of our objectives is to bring our community together. And a lot of people travel to this event. So we want to help bring our community together and let's, make it more than just go sit there and watch wrestling matches. Let's be able to bring alumni and fans and family together for a few more hours before the dual meet and maybe get their energy right, and get their bodies loosened up, ready to go out there and cheer and make some noise. So I'm pumped for that. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't say I'm pumped to go see my college teammate, Sam Lunez, at his steakhouse in Annapolis the night before too. I always go to Lunez Steakhouse anytime I'm there in enemy territory. Sam was a college teammate of mine, and they have the best steakhouse in the country right there. And maybe I'm a little biased because I'm friends with the guys, but looking forward to a good dinner there on Thursday night before the duel.
Nice. Yeah. And so it's funny. You always joke that we only have 25 listeners. I got a funny story for you.
What's up?
So I'm at the visitor center on Sunday morning before, we're going, me and Mayhaw are going to the gift shop. And I walk out of the car and I see, I could just tell it was a wrestler dad. And I was like, hey, who are you? I was like, is your son on the team? And he's like, yeah, my son's, so I won't mention names. His mom gets out of the car and she's like, oh my God, you're the podcast guy. You're like famous. And then she looks over at Mayhaw and she goes, you probably get this all the time.
And you're like, yeah, it's no big deal.
It was so funny.
No one ever recognizes me.
You've made this a big deal, Kevin. You see?
No one ever recognizes me from the podcast. I never hear that. So you're the face of BHAW Radio. Yeah.
Not for long. Tyler's coming in. He's making a name for himself. People are going to him now for all the podcast related stuff.
Listen, I don't want to say that the man puts in his work, but he's got 3 pages of notes there in front of the man puts in the work.
I'm not here for my improv, so I gotta prep. I'm no JT with my quick zingers, so I gotta bring something to the table.
You're no who? JT?
Yeah.
Oh man. No, but listen,
that's
this
too funny.
weekend, I mean, this dual meet, it's going to be like all of them. It doesn't matter. Throw records out, throw results on paper, like predict whatever. Get rid of it. It's going to be a hard fought. We've got respect for those guys, respect for those coaches. I know we're going to get the very best that they have to offer, and we're looking forward to it. So, whatever Army fans can do to come out and support us, we would sure appreciate it.
This is Coach Green's first, Army Navy. Is he ready for it? Does he know, what he's probably like? Oh, Blair Del Barton, or Blair Wyoming Sam. Like all these big matches he's been in before. He doesn't know what he's getting into, I don't think.
I mean, everybody thinks they know until you're a part of it. But I mean, I've told him, just like I tell the team, don't pretend it's another dual meet. It's not. Oh, it's another wrestling match. It's just another wrestling match. No, it's not. Do you remember your, match your sophomore year against Bucknell? No, you don't remember that. Do you remember your sophomore year against Navy? Yes. It's not another match. So, I think he gets the point that, hey, look, him and Jesse both, it's their first time. This isn't just a regular dual meet. Let's be ready for the emotions, and let's be, let's meet the moment and let not, it can't be too big for our team. So let's meet the moment and be ready to shine.
Yeah, very well said. Brian, you got anything else?
No, let's check to see if there's any last minute listener questions came in.
Just a couple good lucks.
Yeah. No.
We posted a little bit late.
Yeah, it was kind of a late notice show, but no, fans, I appreciate you guys. We need you. If you can make it, we want you there. We need you. We feel the love and appreciate the support. Look forward to updating you after that, before the EIWA tournament. Let's just get ready to rock and roll. I mean, this is the greatest time of the year. If you're a fan of big time wrestling, this is the greatest time of the year, and it's time to rock and roll. So let's go put the hammer down.
Yeah, I'll say one more thing. If you have a CrossFit Christmas party this weekend, this is not the one to miss for a CrossFit Christmas party. So just say that.
This is coming from the guy who is not going to the match, and he's addressing that to the guy who's going to the match.
I'll be out house hunting this weekend. I'm making a
Listen, I'm gonna let you guys argue about this off air. We're gonna save our fans from this nonsense. But please, you should be there this weekend. No excuses.
That's right. You got me.
All right.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on as always. Be Navy.
You got it, fellas. Let's beat them.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.